Hello everyone, this is Sam. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Runes and Sigils update. Now, of course, this update has been live for nearly 2 weeks, and during these 2 weeks I haven't exactly made any video that would cover the subject, even though I did talk about it on stream. The reason behind this was that I wanted to make sure that I would have enough insight on the current situation before making any statements that could otherwise be conflicting with some of the macro results we can see already happening. I will be explaining all that I have realized after the intro. Now I am going to be dividing this video into 3 parts. The first one is going to be about the acquisition of sigils and runes, the second one will be about crafting, and the third one will be about the future of runes and sigils. First of all, when it comes to the acquisition of runes and sigils, it is very important to realize that right now the main source of runes and sigils is gone. Previously, salvaging gear meant you had a chance of recovering the upgrade being the rune or sigil, and that was listed directly onto the salvage kits you were going to be using. So for example here, 80% chance of salvaging upgrades. Before it was of recovering upgrade. Anyhow, what is important to realize now is that there is not going to be any new form of supply when it comes to sigils and runes. Everything that we're going to be getting on the trading post will be the results of what hoarders had kept and what people craft. These are the 2 new faucets for sigils, when before we had both what people hoarded in relatively high quantity and what people salvaged, which was the main way of acquiring the runes and sigils. This means that over time the supply is going to be diminishing because the demand is going to remain relatively constant. People still need to change their builds as balance patch shift the meta around, and some people are still going to be experimenting, as well as new people getting into the game and buying sigils and runes to gear the characters for the first time. That demand is either constant or fluctuating ever so slightly, and that means that we will be facing a situation in which the amount of sigils on the trading post is going to keep decreasing and decreasing until we at some point see the costs of the runes and sigils on the sell orders matching more or less their crafting costs. Speaking about crafting, this is our second part. The new way to craft the runes and sigils is to go entirely through the crafting professions. There is no more making sigils with some convoluted recipes. All of them are following the same pattern. So we're going to be heading onwards to a crafting station so that I may show you this. So when it comes to crafting, be it a rune or a sigil, the recipes always follows the same pattern. You're going to be needing piles of lucent crystal, you're going to be needing symbols or charms, you're going to be needing globes of ectoplasm. Then the extra item that is going to come into the equation depends on the rune or sigil that you're going to want to craft. What is already interesting to note is that the amount of piles of lucent crystal varies from sigil to sigil and from rune to rune. This means that we are going to have to look at the lucent modes in the future. Now, when it comes to acquiring the recipes to craft these various sigils and runes, some of them come directly from the vendor, as you can see here in the last tab, and some of them come from open world. So you can kill some mobs, drop them. Some of them also come from specific events, specific chests, and we're going to have a look at that just in a few seconds. I just want to talk about one last point before showing you this, and that is how crafting impacts supply. So as I have already shown before by going to the crafting station, we have seen that the amount of piles of lucent crystal that are needed is not constant. Now what we really need to have a look at is the amount of lucent motes that are needed for these piles of lucent crystals. For example, I need 50 lucent mote to make 1 sigil. However, if I salvage 1 sigil, I'm gonna be getting very little amount of lucent motes. What this means is that you need to salvage about 13 to 40 superior sigils in order to get enough lucent motes to craft 1 sigil. This information really correlates our previous statement of the supply of sigils and runes being dwindling on the trading post. That is to say that we're in a situation in which at one point we're gonna hit a shortage of the materials that are needed. Also, getting symbols and charms is something that is quite hard. For instance, you need to salvage an entire stack of exotic sigils to get about 22 to 24 symbol. That means that if you salvage an entire stack of sigils, you get enough materials to make about 7. This is pretty terrible, to be fair, because it means that at some point ArenaNet is going to have to either adjust the drop rates, or we're simply going to be in a situation where crafting is not viable anymore. Then it will be down to extracting from armor and weapons. Speaking about extracting, that's probably the best way to make profit now and in the future. So if you don't have a permanent upgrade extractor, I would say that it is a pretty good idea to work on that. So what you need is the Endless Upgrade Extractor contract, this item valued at about 4000 gold, which then gives you the Endless Upgrade Extractor. As I said before, this is probably the best way to make profit now and in the future. Now I'm going to be showing you what I mean by recipes that cannot be acquired through regular means, and for that we're going to be swapping to another one of my characters, which is located in the Straits of Devastations for a specific event that drops the recipe for Superior Rune of the Lich. So here you can see that the coffer has already been opened, which means that someone has already participated in the event, so I need to wait for it to be off cooldown. But this is the only place where you can acquire the recipe for the Superior Rune of the Lich. Now the Superior Rune of the Lich has been put by Snowcruise as being meta on quite a few builds, which means that it has seen a huge reduction in its supply on the trading post, and the only way to bring them back onto it is to either extract from gear, salvage with a Black Lion kit from gear, or simply acquire the rune recipe dropping from the event that starts once you open that chest. There we go, I actually got the recipe from the event, which is something that I was really hoping for, and actually this has proven what I mean. The recipe is not a guaranteed drop, which means that you will have to work for it. Now, of course, this is not a be-all and all. You can park a character here to acquire the recipe, but it also shows to you that there is much more effort in this update for you to acquire what is needed than what was previously the staple. We're now going to be moving on to the last part of the video, which is hopefully going to be the most interesting one for all the investors among you. So now, as we get to our last part, we're going to be talking about the future of the economy. The only way to properly make sure that you will be prepared for the future would be to start hoarding sigils and runes right now. But that, of course, is not something that is particularly viable, especially for the fact that we do not know where the meta will be shifting. What you can do, however, is making sure that you have a decent hold of the amounts needed in crafting. For example, we were talking earlier about the lucent motes, but also the symbols and the charms that are already going up in price tremendously from what they were at the moment the patch released. Indeed, for the first week of the patch, we have seen the prices be leveled down because people were still salvaging the huge hordes of runes and sigils that they had, as we're trying to figure out the dropping rates of the different materials from the different tiers that could be salvaged. Now, of course, we are in a situation where hoarding onto the materials needed to craft runes and sigils is probably going to be the best for us. I do not believe that ArenaNet is going to be adjusting the drop rates anytime soon, which means there's probably going to be a window of a few weeks in which we will see the shortage and where the people having the materials are really going to be profiting off of them. Now, the more people are going to be playing the game, the more supply we will be having from people simply salvaging all the green and rare gear that drops from the event they participate in. I still wouldn't say that this is a most definite way to keep supply in the long run, but it is definitely a way for us to have some time before having ArenaNet taking an action for the economy. So, the moral of this video and the moral of my analysis over the past 2 weeks would be to hold on to what you have when it comes to runes and sigils, sell the stuff that already has a very good price in your eyes, and hold on to the materials for the future. Now, to finish this video, we're going to be having a look at the giveaway results, because the previous video that I did a giveaway in was the one about the infusions, and we still have these codes that we need to give to 2 very lucky people. The amount of unique commenters is 280, which is not as many as the previous giveaway, but still a hefty amount, and I hope that people who really want the outfit will be getting it. The first winner is Daniel Howard, and I will be sending you your prize anytime soon. And our second winner is gonna be Sergio Casas Lopez. So congratulations to both of you, Daniel and Sergio, for having won this giveaway, and I hope that you guys will be enjoying your prize a lot. Now this means that we are already at the end of the video, which is the moment at which I'm going to be shilling for my content, my other medias. So if you've already gotten all the information that you want, you can already get a move on, but if you want to support this channel, please stay and listen. I make videos about every week on Guild Wars 2, and if you want to support this channel, it's very simple. Simply have to watch the video, leave a like, leave a comment, talk about the content to your friends, to the people around you, in order to get the word out that there are videos out there that can be helpful to you as a player. If you want to see more of me, I do stream on Twitch almost every second day. You can catch it at the link in the description. Now, if you want to follow me on my other social medias, I am Samajeste as well on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. But that one is not one where I will actually accept everyone. Anyways, this already marks the end of the video. I hope that you guys have enjoyed what I have made and that you found it interesting. And above all else, I wish every single one of you to have a wonderful week and to prepare for the future of the market.